We're not doing any creative entrances this time. Hi, everybody. I'm Scott.
And I'm Luke.
And I'm Jonathan.
And this is the No Way to Hollywood podcast. Thanks for joining us.
I have nothing interesting to say. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate your viewership.
Yeah, so tonight we are continuing on the list of AFI's top 100 movies, giving you our thoughts and opinions on them. We made it through number 71 last week, gentlemen, so we are starting with number 70 tonight, and that would be A Clockwork Orange.
Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, 70, there are then 30 movies that are considered worse than this one, right? But okay, this movie's very interesting, right? Like, this one is like one of the original NC-17 whatever. Like, you can't go see it unless you're whatever. And so I watched it and I was like, well, it doesn't seem that crazy to me anymore, but whatever. I mean, yeah, there's some weird stuff in it, but whatever. I've seen a lot of other movies out there. Kubrick, of course, is a weirdo doing weirdo things, and there's stuff that happens, and you're like, okay, the ending for me has a very Psycho vibe, I wouldn't hurt a fly, and oh, it's totally, it's got a similar vibe, but they're a bunch of not nice people doing not nice things, and milk.
I have seen parts of this film. I don't care to see this film. They ranked it higher than Saving Private Ryan. They're wrong.
And that's all I've got to say about that. Okay, now we're crossing over from the last episode, but that's okay. I mean, for me, this is not. Kubrick I've never been a huge fan of. I can appreciate his filmmaking.
I don't even know if I can appreciate it.
I mean, sometimes he's got really good stuff. I just don't. Yeah, he's always considered to be a genius, right? It's like, oh, Kubrick, the American filmmaking genius.
Genius is a powerful word.
Yeah. I don't. You did it. We have to link it. Cursing involved in that video.
Yeah, that is a highly inappropriate video, but we'll totally link it below because if you can handle swearing, it's hilarious.
It's got gives you a flavor of some directors, I'll tell you that.
And if you've watched A Clockwork Orange, you can probably handle it.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, but yes, I agree with you. Kubrick is always considered a genius, and I'm never a huge fan of his work.
Have you seen A Clockwork Orange?
No. And I will not be recommending it at the end of this episode.
Me neither.
Unless you plot twist, you do.
Plot twist. Okay. Let's carry on then.
How bad do the other 9 movies have to be?
Well, let's see.
Coming in at number 69 is Tootsie.
I never got the appeal of Tootsie.
I think I've seen the artwork.
I've seen that cover a bunch.
It's Dustin Hoffman, and we were singing his praise last time.
Well, Dustin Hoffman's great, but I just never got the appeal of Tootsie. I tried watching it once.
So what is this movie?
Tootsie is a 1982 American romantic comedy film directed by Sidney Pollack, starring Dustin Hoffman. The film tells the story of a talented but volatile actor whose reputation for being difficult forces him to adopt a new identity as a woman to land a job.
Yeah, he has to wear drag all the time, and because he gets the job as a girl at the audition. He's like a struggling actor in New York, teaching acting classes to all the other struggling actors, and he gets this job as a woman, and then he just keeps doing that for a while. And I'm sure at some point, because I didn't get that far, I didn't care enough, and so I'm sure at some point it's like he falls in love with some woman, but he's a woman, but he's not a woman because he's Dustin Hoffman. And
I mean, for Dustin Hoffman to play a woman, he must be a great actor, right?
I feel like
he is short.
I feel like Mrs. Doubtfire or whatever would be a better.
But that's
a better
later.
Story.
It's
right?
later,
It is
right?
It is later.
Mrs. Doubtfire maybe doesn't work without Tootsie making some ground on that, right? But
maybe. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, but I play female characters in all the MMOs I play, so woo.
Yeah, that's the same.
It's exactly the same.
Or not at all. Moving on to number 68, we have Unforgiven.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I have seen this film. Have you seen this film?
I don't think I have.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
Morgan Freeman.
I like Morgan Freeman.
Gene Hackman.
He's also a good actor.
A Western.
Wow. I don't know if I've seen it.
Where someone, or maybe multiple people, are unforgiven.
Wow.
Okay,
whoa.
okay. This film is, like many Westerns, I kind of chalk it up to one scene. You know, where it's sort of like the whole movie's about this one scene that's going to happen. And Unforgiven definitely has that vibe for me. I've only seen it the one time. It's not a poorly done movie the whole way through or anything, and the acting is well done, and you get a sense of the characters strongly. But really, it's about one moment, and kind of like how High Noon is all about they're coming, and you got to get ready for the showdown, and you just keep hearing about how this is going to be a showdown coming around the whole movie. This is one where a character, you keep hearing about how that character used to be the baddest mofo ever and was the worst and was ugly, and that character's always like, I'm on a different path, I'm not doing that anymore. And it all leads up to one moment where, for various reasons that you now understand, that character shifts and says, okay, today I'm that person I used to be. Right? Like, that's what that movie is. So it's worth a watch, you know, especially if you like Westerns and you like maybe a bit more of that harder edge Western. It's not your High Noon's got a good guy. This is less of that. This is more of a redemption thing. Redemption, no redemption, ugliness in the world, how you deal with it kind of stuff.
Yeah. How much of that relates to what we see as like anti-heroes now in comic books and whatnot?
Again, I've only watched it the one time, but it's kind of like an anti-hero, except that anti-heroes, in my estimation, typically are fine being anti-heroes. Like, they're not trying to change. This is a character who's trying very hard to not be what he was. And because of something that happens, decides, no, today, right now, I'm going to be the same way I used to be.
So it's John Wick.
Kinda.
Okay.
Kinda. But
but in a Western.
But different. A lot less gun fu, I'll tell you that.
Well, I don't know that.
And I don't remember how many dogs are in there, but they didn't play as much of a significant role.
Good to know. Good to know. Coming in at number 67 is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
I have heard of it. It's like a stage play that they just shot, right? Like, I mean, they actually made it filmically or whatever, but it's a stage play.
It said stage play they shot right there, right?
No.
Okay. No.
It is an adaptation of a play by the same name.
Okay.
So it's a stage play that they shot.
But they adapted it though. They like, so it's not just like in the same room or whatever.
There might have been camera movement.
Whoa. Yeah, I don't think I've seen the stage play. I don't think I may have like glanced at the
What is
once.
this movie about? Because I've heard this title a bunch.
This is a 1966 American black comedy drama film. It's got some pretty big names in it. The film was nominated for 13 Academy Awards, including Best Picture.
What year?
The film won 5 awards. 66.
Okay. And does it say anything about what the story's about?
Film centers on the volatile marriage of a middle-aged couple, George, an associate professor of history at a small New England college, and Martha, the daughter of the university president. After they return home drunk from a party, Martha reveals she has invited a young married couple whom she had met at the party for a drink. The guests arrive. Nick, a biology professor, and his wife, Honey. At 2:30 a.m., as the four drink, Martha and George engage in scathing verbal abuse in front of Nick and Honey. The younger couple is first embarrassed and later entangled?
Yeah, that's why I haven't seen this, because like that doesn't sound interesting to me.
That does sound like a stage play. And I don't know if I mean that kindly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. Well, I'm trying to remember exactly how the joke went, but it was kind of like, why would I watch that when I go and I live that every life? Like this is just life. What am I gaining out of this?
I mean, I presume if it's got all, the awards and whatnot, I presume that essentially it's really good character study, right? I mean, that's
Yes.
you just put a bunch of characters in a room, and by bunch,
Right.
here's 4 characters, put them in a
Yep.
room, make it really awkward, and the truth comes out about something, and watch how they all react, and that's fine. It's not really my bag, but whatever.
Okay. Let's move on to number 66. Gentlemen, we have Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Ooh.
I mean, that's a fun movie. That's a fun. I mean, like the fact that like they melt a dude, but they did it by building him out of wax so that they could melt. Like that's awesome. Like the technology there.
No, they just melted that guy. Have you seen that guy in any other film?
No, so yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. My mom likes to talk about how she's like, I love this because he like comes out on a white horse where he's gonna like by himself take on the Nazi army. Like there's just fun stuff throughout.
I mean, so many good things. Obviously, Steven Spielberg's doing top-notch work. It's a great action-adventure film. Truly, like, adventure and action combined. It's got great premise. The music from Williams is fantastic. I always, he's going to take on the Nazis all by himself. Hell yeah, man. It's awesome. And I think of, like, the truck sequence when he's, like, they take... The amount of times he tries to get the Ark, and it's like... He blows up the plane, and how much pain and suffering he went through to blow up, and like how much crazy to blow up the plane and stop it. And they're moving the Ark. What do you mean? There's a truck? What truck? And then he's got to get on the horse and go chase down the truck, and then fight like 20 Nazis to get the. It's a really well done action. Some would say that this is sort of the birth of the modern action film. I'm not sure I go quite that far, but it's certainly towards the beginning. It's one of the quintessential action films.
Yeah.
It's certainly an enjoyable film, and I mean, it definitely holds a special place in my heart. Man, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Last Crusade are just some fun, good movies, and there's so
Temple
many.
of Doom is not fun.
It's pretty sickening, actually.
Yeah. Not that the others hadn't given me nightmares before as well, especially with the melting dude, but
Wax. Multiple different types of wax at different temperatures.
Find that actor.
So you
I
can-
dare you. Where is he?
there,
He melted.
there was one point made to me at some point that I think revealed a pretty big plot hole in this movie, but I'm only bringing this up because I can nitpick about this film and other films that are really close to me all I want. But let's be honest. If Indiana Jones wasn't even part of this movie, the story probably would have ended up just about the same, just without all the cool action scenes.
Okay.
He never stops the Nazis,
He foils them multiple times.
but he never stops them.
Well, yeah, World War II still goes down.
Yeah, this isn't revisionist like, Tarantino.
That's what
or
I'm saying, it's not
anything.
Tarantino up in here.
So there you go. Go out and
But I
certainly enjoy
gotta
that one.
say, again, is this a better movie than Saving Private Ryan? This is Steven Spielberg again, right? Like, Raiders of the Lost Ark is certainly a wider available movie to a lot more audience, right? And it's
It's
fun.
rewatchable. Yeah.
It's very rewatchable, very eeasy to rewatch. I think Saving Private Ryan's also rewatchable, but not easy.
Right.
It takes something out of you. But, if we're talking about ranking movies as the greatest of all time, is Raiders really better than Private Ryan, for instance?
Well, according to some people, it is.
Well, duh. But like, what do we? What do you two think?
Well, again, I've seen Saving Private Ryan once.
Okay.
As have I.
All right. Fine. Whatever. Move on.
All right.
Of course, I've only seen Raiders of the Lost Ark a few times too, so I don't know.
I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark a lot. I still like it even with the plot hole. Coming in at number 65 is The African Queen.
We started this in film school. I saw the first few scenes and thought, I need to watch this sometime, and then I never did. But it was definitely a good hook, good starting place.
I have no memory of this.
I have no memory of this. I mean, I've heard the title before, and that's about as good as it gets. African Queen.
That's a different movie.
I love you guys. Somehow, I'll put up with them. This is a 1951 British-American adventure film adapted from the 1935 novel by the same name. There's some big names and other things. In Technicolor. Ooh, Technicolor. Humphrey Bogart. Actually won the Oscar for this film as his only Oscar win. Katharine Hepburn. So some big names.
The African Queen's a boat.
Right. I knew that. That might be all I know.
That's all you need to know to watch this movie. I forget what I remember watching the first sequence or scenes and thinking, this is intriguing. I bet this is good. I just need to watch it. I haven't done it yet.
All right, well, let me give you a quick plot rundown. Samuel Sayer and his sister Rose are British Methodist missionaries in the village of Kungdu in German East Africa at the beginning of World War I in September 1914. Their mail and supplies are delivered by a small steam launch named African Queen, helmed by the rough and ready Canadian mechanic Charlie Allnut, whose coarse behavior they stiffly tolerate. When Charlie warns the Sayers that the war
this boat shows up and they're like, yeah, we hang out with you.
Was broken out between Germany and Britain, they choose to remain in Kungdu, only to witness German colonial troops burn down the village and herd the villagers away to be forcibly recruited. When Samuel protests, he is beaten by an officer and becomes delirious with fever and soon dies. Charlie returns shortly afterward, after having found his mine to have been destroyed by the Germans and being chased for his supplies, which include gelatin explosives. He helps Rose bury her brother, and they set off in the African Queen.
Spoilers, I guess. I don't know. Like, for me, the mission would, I don't know where this film's actually taking all of this, but, for me, the mission does all that and way, way more. Yeah, so I don't know.
So you pick other films over the one that's on the top 100 list.
Well, I don't know where the mission is on this list, but I also, I haven't seen it, so I don't know where it's going as a film, but, just from that description, I'm I feel like the mission does that better. But I don't know, because I haven't seen it, so how can I say it's better?
Is the mission an American-made film? I know De Niro's in it, but is it directed?
Irons.
But is it directed by?
This is why we're the best film students ever.
IMDb exists for a reason. You just type things into it, and then you can click on links and find things.
Okay, so the African Queen, noted.
Let's move on.
Number 64 is Network. Oh, you want me to talk about that one too?
I think I know this one. Keep going. Yeah.
Network is a 1976 American satirical black comedy drama film about a fictional television network, UBS, and its struggle with poor ratings.
Oh, UHF is a great movie.
It's not UHF.
Not the same.
Widespread critical acclaim with particular praise for the performances.
Yeah, go watch UHF, guys. Just watch that. I don't know.
The longtime anchor of the Union Broadcasting System's UBS Evening News in New York City learns from friend and news division president Max that he has just 2 more weeks on the air because of declining ratings. The two get drunk and lament the state of their industry. The following night, Bale announces on live television that he will commit suicide on next Tuesday's broadcast. UBS fires him after this incident, but Schumacher, that's his friend, intervenes so that Bale can have a dignified farewell. Bale
kill himself on. Yeah, okay.
Bale promises he will apologize for his outburst, but once on the air, he launches back into a rant claiming that life is BS. Bale's outburst causes the newscast ratings to spike. Much to Schumacher's dismay, the upper echelons of UBS decide to exploit Bale's antics rather than pull him off the air.
Yeah, so they did a Black Mirror episode on this as well. Not that that's better, but just they did it.
And more happens.
Great. Okay, let's move on. That's so not interesting.
Jonathan?
If you want to watch characters like go crazy, like watch
UHF.
UHF
Where was
yeah,
insane.
right? Or you can also watch Evan Almighty, Bruce Almighty, that whole thing, it's great.
At least Morgan Freeman calls himself God.
That's great.
I find these movies incredibly different. So there's that. This network movie, I don't know that I particularly care to see it. It could be interesting, but yeah, no. When I think of like Newsroom, is that the name of the movie I'm trying to think of? That's a TV show. I can't remember what there's like the paper and there's this
Post.
There's this one that is man, I can't remember. It stars William Hurt, and what is her name? Because she's the real deal. What's her deal? Can't remember her name. Much better movie, character-centric story, has to do with TV news and so on and so forth. That's kind of where I thought this was, and now I realize I'm incredibly wrong, and it sounds like it could be interesting, but I don't know. If the synopsis is stopped with he threatens to commit suicide, and I'm curious after that, but I don't know. It just sounds very logical. At least in the synopsis makes it sound like, yeah, and they don't want him to do it, but then there's ratings, so they're like, fine, do it. We don't care. I don't know. It's just kind of whatever.
And we won't spoil it at all because we haven't seen it. Coming in at number 63 is Cabaret.
No.
I know it exists.
No as in no, you haven't seen it, or no, I don't want to see it?
Yes.
Thanks
I saw that coming.
Thanks for making a lot of sense, Jonathan.
Any thoughts from you, Scott?
I mean, I've seen the remake of it, I believe, or seen the things about the play, or I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious to see this. I don't think it's necessarily anything that I'm going to go out of my way to see.
All right, cool. Let's move on.
Set in Berlin during the Weimar Republic in 1931. Okay.
No.
No. Jonathan still says no. Woo. All right. After that, at number 62 is American Graffiti.
I mean that's a movie. I saw. I think it was a video essay. Maybe I can find it. I don't know. Yes, link below. Where they talk about how this movie really captures a particular vibe of like what it means to be like a young person, kind of at that cusp of like transition, and like the writing's really good, and blah blah blah. And the best part of the video essay is at the end when he's like, "And I've just spent the last however long praising George Lucas's writing." Right? And so like, like there's stuff about it. There's Harrison Ford driving around in his white car. Like there's just stuff. And I saw it once and it was okay. It was all right. Like, I don't have like maybe because I was still young enough at the time that I was like I'm just not in that space. But like, okay, there's a movie. Kids do stuff.
I watched the movie once, and I probably need to watch it again because I don't think I got it. Like, I don't think I understood what it was suggesting or indicating at all. I do remember a story about the making of it where there is a scene or shot where one guy's waiting outside of a liquor store while his buddies are trying to get liquor or something like that, and so they come out with this liquor bag and throw it to him, and he's not aware. Like, he just barely turns around in time to see that they're throwing them the bottle, and he catches it haphazardly. And the only way they got that to work is because of the timing being truly off to the point where the actor had no idea they're going to throw it at him or whatnot, and that's why it looks as real as it does. And it's just, one of those classic film stories of like, why it looks so real? Because we just did it that way. We just did it for real. I don't know.
I went looking for the GIF of where they like attach the bolt thing with the wire to the police car's axle, like the police car. Like, I went looking for that GIF and it wasn't online when I wanted it, so that's sad.
Tragedies.
Yeah, I mean, like,
there is an element of this film that I think is very tied to the generation that lived it. I was shown this film by my father, who kind of grew up in that era, and him reminiscing about cruising the streets in your hot cars and doing the drag racing down the strip and do all these little things that were very cultural and very specific to that time, and especially the way they portrayed it in the film, was a good chance for me to connect with my dad and who he was growing up and what life was like for him. So to a certain extent, I know we talked about this last episode with Forrest Gump, but I think this is another one of those films that just hits a specific generation very, very well.
And I would agree that I don't think you get Forrest Gump without this, in part because this is a movie where there was no score. It was all soundtrack. There's all music from the time.
Yeah.
Which really helps, I believe, cement the idea of you're not just seeing it, you're feeling it, you're remembering those songs if you lived it. It's all music of that era. And that's common now that you can do a movie like that where it's just a lot of, pop songs or rocks or whatever, is popular of that era or whatever, but that wasn't common. Many say, if I understand correctly, George Lucas pioneered that as well. The man was a really good pioneer for a while.
And maybe in 20 to 30 years, we can get a movie about like kids playing Rocket League, and their great grandchildren can be like, I don't understand this.
Cultural moment, that Rocket League.
Driving those cars into soccer balls.
Yeah, man. In the virtual world.
Well, all right. Yeah, that's what I've got for American Graffiti. Our last film for this set of 10 is Sullivan's Travels.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Give me the synopsis on this. I think I know this one.
Sullivan's Travels is a 1941 American comedy film written and directed by Preston Sturges. It is a satire about Hollywood's top director of comedies, played by Joel McCrea, who longs to make a socially relevant drama, but eventually learns that creating laughter is his greatest contribution to society.
Yep. I've seen this film. It's good. It's funny. It's kind of heartwarming. The message is spoiled. But yeah, that's what the movie is. And it's I liked it. I liked it when I watched it. I've only seen it the one time, watched it because of film school, and it was one of the, not the few, but there's a lot of movies I had to watch that I didn't like, and this is one of the ones I was like, thank you for letting me watch this, helping me, that was well done, and it's a good reminder. Just the thing about the movies in the 40s, I feel like, is the stories are tight, like they're just, there's a different kind of writing going on back then that's emulated, hearkened to. We can do movies as good as, I believe, now, but there's just something about it that feels right in a different way than we usually get today. So yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of what you're talking about, storytelling from older films, that I think we can learn a lot from today in what we're doing in film. And part of that is because you didn't have all the same technologies that we have now, and you really had to do a good job of showing and telling rather than just relying on the tricks of the trade or the technology that you've got. So here, and this is a movie I haven't seen. Based on what you've said, I'd certainly be curious to see it. But there's always that element when I'm watching an older film of like, oh, you've got to do a good job of storytelling because that's what you could do.
Let me put it to you this way. It comes from an era where I don't know how much pretentiousness might have been going on in Hollywood, but when they made a movie about themselves, it was actually antithetical. It was against being pretentious. The whole point of this story literally is, guy feels like he has to make the biggest art film in the world. It's dramatic and serious and really talks about the moment and the political things going on. It really needs to say something about it. And goes on a journey that ends up with him being like, oh, you know what I could actually do that would be helpful is make a movie that's entertaining and make people laugh. And that would actually help people more in a way than trying to make this big political statement or big dramatic film, because we were living it and we're going through it and we need to figure that out on our own. The movies is a better place for something else potentially. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't make movies that, talk to an issue or whatever. It's just that, it's this different part where they don't take themselves too seriously. They're like, we're pictures, we're entertainment, we're escapism, and we're okay with that. Maybe that's a good thing too.
Luke, do you have any thoughts?
I haven't seen it.
Would you see it?
Like so many things, I watch movies, so I'm open to watching it. But no, I'm not going to seek that one out.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of today's 10 movies. So let's recap them real quick, and let's give our viewers something to watch. So number 70 was A Clockwork Orange. 69 was Tootsie. 68 was Unforgiven. 67 was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. 66 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. 65 is The African Queen. 64 was The Network. 63 is Cabaret. 62 is American Graffiti. And 61 is Sullivan's Travels.
Well, that's really easy. It's clearly A Clockwork Orange. No, Raiders.
He took the easy one, for the record.
Yeah, he took the easy one.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to take any of the other ones, because A Clockwork Orange or Raiders. I mean, like, okay, no.
Since I've seen it, and it's actually not half bad, Sullivan's Travels. That way you've got something a little different there for you. But Raiders. I mean, I could say but Raiders as well. I think of all the ones that I haven't seen, Sullivan's Travels certainly is the one that I am most intrigued at this point, or maybe African Queen. Maybe.
What he really means to say is A Clockwork Orange.
No.
Is his favorite film.
No. The one I'm actually going to give you as my recommendation,
Kubrick
though.
is a genius.
It's a powerful word.
Sorry. Yes.
The movie I'm actually going to give you as my recommendation is American Graffiti. I mean, if you want to see George Lucas at close to his best, it's either American Graffiti or the very first Star Wars movies. Beyond that, it's not worth watching George Lucas films for being George Lucas films. But I think these two movies, and
There's a hot take.
And in particular for me, there is some cultural and nostalgia for me, simply because it was one of those moments with my father. So
yeah, that makes sense, man.
Yeah.
So if you ever have a chance to hang out with Scott's dad and watch that movie, it's going to be really meaningful to you too.
Yes. And my dad would gladly watch it with you, I promise.
We should just make that a commentary track, like one of those, like our own commentary tracks where you're just your dad talking about, yeah, and then you just do this.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll catch you again next time. And leave a comment below so that we know how much you actually enjoy this episode.
Or if we don't see you again, we'll know that, sorry.
One of our 6 viewers did not come back.
We really apologize.
Down to 5.
Bye.
For the last time, goodbye.
What, are we dying now?
No, they're leaving us.
Oh. Bye.
Bye.